Hello guys, welcome back to Coding Cafe. My name is Mohammed Ali and this is the last video tutorial about the web services in C Sharp Visual Studio. So in this video we are going to learn how we can connect our database to our web services so that we can retrieve the data from the database and we can use it on our web services, or you can say we can retrieve or display back that data from the web service on our client application. And also we will learn how we can pass, or you can say how we can call a method with parameters on our client side application directly. I mean from the database. I mean we will be using now the database operations. So yeah, let's do it. Now you will understand it what I'm talking about. So go to your web application. Here on our web services one dot this file, you can see this. What we are going to do is I can simply copy paste this web method which is for the countries. Okay, copy it. Let's paste that here below and remove this data from here and change this to the type of this method will be string, and the name of this will be data table for users. And this method will accept one parameter which will be for the ID. Now before we proceed, let me tell you, in our MS SQL server, I hope you remember the tutorials for the database operations. We have created this database by name social network. Here we have this table by the name users, and in here we have these columns which is ID, name, email, password, country, and these are all the users, or you can say the records in our database. Here you can see this. So yeah, now the next thing is before we proceed further, let me tell you I will be using the same dbaccess functions which we create. I mean the functions for using the database. So I'm going to create a class by this name. Okay, so let's create that class first in our web application. So here I can simply say add class, and by that name, which is this one, dbaccess.cs, click add, and you can see this. Now next is to add this system data and system.data client. Let's paste that here, and the next thing is to copy this from here to the end above here, I mean up to this curly brace. Okay, the third last. So copy it and let's come back and let's paste that whole code here. So yeah, that's it. So now we will be able to use we can use now the database operations here, and also copy the system data client here, and also let's paste that here. Now the next thing we need is to create an object of this dbaccess class. So we can say dbaccess, let's give it a name as dbaccess object obj object of for the dbaccess equals to new dbaccess. Now also we need to create another data table which will basically store all these users data from the database. I mean we will retrieve all this data and we will store this data in that data table. So yeah, let's give it a proper name which is users equals new data table. Now come back, come down here, and here we can say first let's write a query, select all from users, which is our table, where ID, which is basically the column name. Here you can see this ID column, and this is our users table. ID equals single colon, and after that pass the ID here, and then plus double quotation, single quotation, and then double quotation. And by using the object of dbaccess class, we can say obj read data through adapter, and it needs two parameters, which the first one is the query and the other one is the data table, which is dt users. Now what is this? Let me tell you again, which I already explained it in the previous tutorial, but let's explain it again. So this read data through adapter is going to accept the query. I mean, it received the query from there and the data table here. You can see this. So if the connection is closed, then it will create the connection, and basically it will fill the data table. I mean, from this data which is inside our users table. So yeah, this is the simple explanation ever. Now, as you know that the DD users table is filled after calling this read data through adapter, we need to convert this to our, I mean, we have to serialize that, so that it must be converted to the JSON object. So I can simply say string result equals JSON convert dot serialize object and pass the DT users to it. Now we can return the result, and the result convert all the values, or you can say all the records from the database which we are retrieving by using this query here. Okay, and we are filling the DT users data table. So this will basically convert that data table records into JSON objects, and it will store it here inside this results, and we are returning the result from here through our web service. So before we proceed, we have to check our database connection. If you come to the dbaccess class, then all you're going to need is to pass your connection string here inside this double quotation. So first of all, remove this, and if you do not know how to get the connection string, you can simply click on these tools, then click this connect to database, and here we have our Microsoft SQL Server. Continue, and from here you can choose, you can simply type local because we are using it local, I mean the server name is local. From here select your database name, which is in our case social network, and then click advanced, and here at the bottom you can see this. So select all this, I mean all this string, and then you can simply control C, copy it, and then paste that string here. So yeah, that's it. Now let's go back to the client application now. And first of all, come here, and here we need to add our, I mean, text box, so that we can get the input from the user. That will be the ID. So yeah, and let's increase the font size of it 14. And now also we will be needing to add a button, so that on a click listener for that button, I mean on the event of that button, we will allow a user to search for any user. So we can say search. Now let's give it a name, so it will be our btn search, and this will be our text box ID. Now here on our form1.cs, we can create an object of HTTP client, but for that we will be using the, first of all we have to add, I mean install a new package. So click on reference, manage, and you get packages, click on browse, and here we need to type HTTP, and let's search for it. So here you can see we have this Microsoft.NET HTTP and the system.NET HTTP. So install this one, which is Microsoft.NET.HTTP. Click on that and install it. Okay, I accept. And wait for it. It will take some seconds to install this Microsoft.NET HTTP. So here you can see it says successfully installed. Now all we're gonna need is to close this, and now here we can say using system.net.http, using system.net.http formatting. And now we can create object of it, so we can say http client equals to new http client. Now by using this client object of the http client, we have to pass the url to it, so then we will be able to access our web services methods. So I'm going to create a method for that, so I can simply say private void web services settings, and inside this method we can say client dot base address equals to new URI, put these two braces, then write double quotations and make sure to put a semicolon here. Now let's go to the web application, let's run it. We have to get this URL from here, so copy this URL from here, and once you copy it, close this again, and now let's go back to our client application, and now we have to pass this URL here, and make sure to write this slash here after this .asmx, okay, here. Now the next thing is to call this web services settings on our form load. So as you know that previously we were displaying the data from our data tables, which we manually defined here on our web services, but now as you know that we are retrieving it from the database. So I'm going to on our client application, what I'm going to do is let's comment out our previous code, and now here I'm going to call the method. So yeah, after that I can simply say web services settings, so that it can get the URL, or you can say establish a connection to the web services whenever the form loads. Now whenever the user click on this search button, we will get the text from this box, and we will try to search for that specific user. So double click on that button, and on this event message, let's give it a name as message equals to client dot get async dot result, and here we can say get async, and inside this we can simply pass the method name and the parameter, which will basically appear in the URL that is for the web service. So go to the web service, and here we have this method which is data table for users, which we will be using basically for searching user through our database. I mean here I hope you remember I already explained this. So paste that name here. After that you can simply type question mark, and after that we need to write the parameter name, that is by which we are going to search, and which is here inside this method, and the parameter name is ID. So make sure to use the same name there, okay. So yeah, here we can, after this question mark, pass that ID, and then we can simply type equals, and make sure to do not use extra spacing here, just like you can see like that, okay. Do not do like that. You can just simple I mean write whatever I wrote here. Do not make any extra space like that. So it will be appearing in the URL if you are going to see it to the web service, okay. So since we are displaying the result on the client side, I mean on the data grid view on our Windows Form application, so after that we need to get the text from this text box after when a user click on this search button, which is basically this event which we created for this search button. So after that we can simply say plus, which is the concatenation sign, and we have this text box by the name text box id dot text, and after that add concatenation sign, and make sure to write again double quotation here. That's it, and it is not dialog result, it is just result, okay, dot result. And once you do that, we can simply say a string user json message dot content dot read as string async dot result. Now first of all, before we proceed, let's check what we get. Okay, so we will display it on a message box. So pass this user json to it, and before we run this client app, make sure that our web service is already running. Okay, so you can see it is running now. Now let's minimize it and go to the my client app, and yeah, let's run the app. Everything is okay. So you can see our app is running now, and now let's first search this seventh, which is Catherine Hughes. So if I write here seventh ID, click search, and here you can see this. This is it basically returning back the JSON string. Okay, you can see this. So for the seventh ID, we have this Catherine Hughes email is this one, and this is her password, and this is the country, which is Germany. You can see this. So let's check it for another one. Let's say for the second one. So you can see for the second one, it is Mr. Mohammed Ali. This is the email, this is the password, and this is the country. So yeah, what now we are going to do is to convert this JSON object to the data table, or also you can convert it to an array. But since in our case we are going to display it on the grid view, so we have to convert it to a data table, and we have to display it here on this grid view. I mean, we are searching for this specific user. So first of all, you can see we have this string. So all we're going to need is to remove this. You can see this angle braces up to here. Okay, because after that we have our proper JSON object, or you can say JSON string from here up to here. I mean from this brace, which you can see one is the curly brace, and before we have this brace, I don't know what we call it, but this brace I'm talking about. So up to here, so we have to remove this things up to here, which is basically this XML version and the string. So how to remove it? We will be using first of all, you can make sure to remember these things. Okay, I will be using the string operation for that, to remove this extra text from here, so that we can get this JSON string only. Once we get this string from here up to here, then we can convert it back to a data table, and we will display it here on our data table. So yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll go back to the client app, and here I will simply create a method. I can simply give it a name as private, and the return type of this will be data table, and I can give it a name as string split, which will remove the which will separate basically the JSON, the specific string which I told you from, which is between the braces. So once we get that string, then we can convert it back to the data table. I mean, not back, but we can convert it to the data table, and we will display it on our data grid view, since you know that it is in the form of JSON string now. So we can say let's give it the same name, which is user JSON. In here we are going to create a array of string. We can say JSON equals to user JSON dot split, and first of all we are going to split the string up to this specific angle brace, which is in that JSON string. Then again we need a string type array, and we can say find JSON. We can say JSON. Now let me tell you one thing, that is this split function basically split the string. That is, let's say if we have this string, that is, let's say by this, I mean, let's say this is a string which is web service setting, and if I pass this R, let's say this R English alphabet instead of this angle brace. Okay, as you know, this angle brace is now just a string. That's why we are splitting the string according to that. So let's say if we pass this R here, then it will split this web services web services setting strings into two parts. That is web SE up to here, and then YCS settings, like that. Okay, so it will have two parts, and it will store it inside the string type array, which is by the name json. So it will split it up to here, and then from there we will be needing the second, that is the string which will be available at the third index. As you know that array starts from the 0th index, so 0th, first and second index, and we can split it now according to this angle brace, I mean this angle operator or whatever you call it. And now here we can simply say data table dt json convert dot d serialize of data table final json, and in that array we have that string at the 0th index now, which is just the json object, or you can say json between that curly braces, which is our actual json string. So we have to return this, which is now in the form of data table. Okay, we store inside this. So yeah, that's it. Now here we can say data grid view dot data source equals to string split, which is our method, and we need to pass our user json from here, and it will convert that to json between the two brackets, which I already show you in the message box. Now we do not need this message box, or let's say I'm going to type here. Okay, so that I can explain it later on. You can remove it from here. So now our web service is already running. Now let's run our client app also, so that we can test it. Now I'm going to type 2 and then click search. So here you can see this, I'm talking about this one, this angle brace we first put in our string type array. So we this one will be our first one, which will be stored at the 0th index, then up to from here up to here it will be at the first index, and then this one at this third index, which is in case of array at the second index. Okay, from here up to here. Then we get only this one, which is our second index for the second string type array. So we pass the second index, which is 2, and then that index we divide further according to this this one. Okay, this angle brace, which is this angles operator or whatever you call it. Okay, so this one is then split into two parts, from here to here and then from here to here. So now we have this string which is between these two braces, and we store it inside the final json, and then we pass that, we return, or you can say we pass, or you can say convert that json to dt object, which is for the data table, and then we return that dt from there. Okay, and yeah, now if I click OK, then here you can see our data is appeared here inside this grid view successfully. I mean, let me close this. I mean, I'm talking about this one which I explained earlier. Okay, and then we return it. So now the next thing is to remove this message box, so that I'm going to increase the size of this grid view so that we can see the records. Okay, let's run it. Also, let's see the database alongside with that. Now let's pass this one, which is 14th ID. So I click on search, and here we go. 14 is the ID, Superman, and this is the information for this ID. Now I am going to search for the 10th. So 10th is this user, which is Peterson, and you can see here. And then I'm going to search for the second one, which is to Mr. Mohammed Ali chips at gmail.com, password, and this one. So yeah, everything is working fine. So we have successfully implemented this. So yeah, that's it for this video. Bye for now.